why you're in favor for this binational or one-state solution, because this is a position you will defend.
The first thing I want to say is that before we can talk about solutions, one state or two states, we really need to have a proper diagnosis of the problem. And some of the people in the audience who gave comments, and indeed some of the panelists earlier, I think did touch on the real root of the problem. And really, when we talk about a two-state solution, what is the purpose of a two-state solution? What was the original purpose, and what is the purpose now? Now, when Palestinians abandoned the goal of liberating Palestine and instead accepted a two-state solution, they did so in the belief that establishing a Palestinian state on a fraction of the historic territory of Palestine would lead to a fulfillment of their rights, or at least achievement of some of their rights. It turned out, however, that this was never the purpose of a two-state solution. In fact, the purpose of a two-state solution is something else totally. It has nothing to do with Palestinian rights. The goal of a two-state solution is to maintain Jewish colonial and racial privilege in Palestine. And this is something that is inherent in the whole conception of the two-state solution and the language that is used. It is routine for Israeli politicians and even some European and other politicians to talk about Palestinians as a demographic threat to Israel. That the simple birth of Palestinian human beings constitutes a demographic threat to Israel. And that therefore a two-state solution is supposed to protect a so-called Jewish majority in Israel so that Israel can remain what they call a Jewish and democratic state. Now, when you examine this closely, you find it is the most racist conception possible. Because this so-called Jewish democracy and so-called Jewish majority was created through crime. It was created through ethnic cleansing. There is only a Jewish majority in part of Palestine, the part that was occupied in 1948, due to the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians who were there and then preventing them returning. So it's not a legitimate Jewish majority to begin with that we have any responsibility or duty to respect or protect or preserve. It's simply not our concern. It should not be our concern as Palestinians to protect a majority that was created by violating the most fundamental rights of Palestinians. And what kind of political conception treats Palestinians as a demographic threat? Now, if I talk about Muslims as a demographic threat to Europe, would people consider me a leftist or a supporter of peace or a political moderate? They would rightly say that I'm on the very far right of European politics. If I talked about Jews as a demographic threat in any country, what would people call me? So, to tolerate anyone talking about Palestinians as a demographic threat is to surrender to the worst possible racism.